number one reason for divorce in the United States is money. That's what happened to my family. When the money originally got messed up, it started being looked at. My father discovered that my brother and his wife were not paying the mortgage. It was a year behind. The skimming off the top was discovered from the company. And all of these things just kind of turned into a big deal. And my brother left the family homestead and moved into his own rented 4-bedroom house. I got the chosen seat. You know, I was already the chosen one in my mom's eyes. There is 6.5 years between my brother and myself, and including me and my brother, my mother went through 9 pregnancies. So it's me and my brother and 7 miscarriages, and the 7 miscarriages are from 1982 to 1988, the year my brother was born, the year I was born. My mom had an IUD that did some scarring, and the doctors told her that she was not able to have children anymore, and it broke her heart. Her and my father continued to try, and I am the miracle. The only problem with being the miracle in my mother's house was that meant that my mother was not a good mom, because I could do no wrong. There was nothing that I could do that would change my mother's opinion of me. That's what made my drug use successful, was my mom. Her manipulation mixed with my manipulation while using was what formulated the plot and the plan. It ended in my arrest because of my actions, my incarceration because of my actions. And one of the best things that happened in my life was my mother and my father were removed, and I was forced to jump out of the nest. It was at 23, but I jumped out of the nest, and so far I've been successfully flying. But when the money got messed up, the family structure really detonated. My brother and his then wife, they had married in 2005, I think. They moved to their new house about 25 minutes away. But when they left, they took a bunch of stuff that they weren't supposed to take. My grandmother's antiques, you know, furniture from within the house that wasn't theirs, that was just there when Dad left. And Dad got really offended about it. And I carried that offense personally towards my brother. And then every opportunity that I got after that, I fucked him. Because we sold drugs together. So he would go to the doctor and get a prescription, and I'd go borrow, or I'd tell him I had a sale, and I'd go get him, and I wouldn't bring him back the money. I was real dirty. And that's typically how I rolled. When I got to full-blown out junkie, if I needed drugs, I would just sell them to you and never deliver them. I'd take your money, go pick them up, and then I'd get high. I had to do what I had to do, you know, making amends. But that was really the turning point for me and my brother. Up until that point, we had lived under the same roof or on the same piece of property our entire lives. We had seen each other on a daily basis. He was my hero. I idolized my brother. Wanted to be just like him and followed him in every fashion. The only difference was once I followed his path, he couldn't get me off of it. I remember being at work with him one time, and I crushed up a pill, and he had one and I had one. He ate his, I sniffed mine, and he gave me a hard time about sniffing it. I looked at him and was like, what's the difference between eating the fucking thing? It's still going in your body. Don't call it kettle black, eat a pot. And that's really where my own identity started. And I really pursued my brother's style of life at 100 mile an hour and he was only doing about 10. You know, I always hung out with his friends. It was always the older crowd, which was why I was always more advanced than my peers. And I always flocked towards that older crowd, but when I went back to my peers, I was selling my peers drugs because I hung out with the older kids. And it's my own fault. I own it. I don't want anybody to ever watching these videos think that I'm making excuses for my behavior, because I made the decisions. The only problem, and the thing that I want to note in these, is those decisions were very easy to make because they were the only ones presented. And when we grow in our recovery, when we grow in life, grow in age, we have children, we have young people in our supervision and our care, whether we're coaching, teaching, raising our kids, babysitting, whatever it may be. The things that you do with that child, with that young person, you know, even if they're 20, they're still a child. I don't care what the world says. And you watching this can get upset all you want. But I'm 33, and I'm just now starting to get to the point to where I think I understand, and I can look back on my stupid younger self and be like, that guy really had no clue. And it's not that you don't know, it's that you haven't experienced enough life yet to understand. And that's really what you need to take into account, is the understanding. Knowledge is useless if you don't understand it. I can go read a book and store the equations for building a rocket. Doesn't mean I'm going to be able to build the rocket just because I have the blueprint. I have no clue how to put the rocket together. But if I worked with a guy that built rockets, and I spent a couple years putting rockets together with that guy, I'd probably be able to build my own rocket. See how that works? That's life, summed up in a nutshell. But I always hung out with the older guys. I was always influenced by the older crowd. I always was accepted into the older crowd. And even at my household, mom and dad let me in the older crowd. At 15 years old, I was driving the work truck, hauling around grown men, doing grown men stuff. It wasn't the proper setting for me to be raised in. And then there was no restriction on the way that I was raised. It was wide open. Do what you want. You know, I wrote a story about going out in the boat when I was a kid. I got the boat when I was 7 or 8. The only rule that Dad had was I had to take the dog with me. Elby, my Chesapeake Bay Retriever. Other than that, be home by dark. And the only reason I had to be home by dark was to eat, check in, and then I could leave again. It was an open door policy. My friends were sneaking in and out of their windows. I was walking in and out of the front door. Coming home drunk with my shoes on the wrong feet like my brother had done 10 years before me. The family unit was flawed. And then we just complicated it by adding all kinds of other nonsense in. Drugs, family drama, the drama that my brother's wife brought with her and her family. I don't want to get into that in this video, but just trash. I'm sorry, just trash. And I have to be honest with that, for the simple fact that I can't hold it in. Because in our recoveries, we need to tell the truth. Your way of telling the truth might be different to mine. You might choose different wording. You might sugarcoat it, beat around the bush. I'm blunt. I'm honest. I don't stay anonymous. You know, these are all things you're going to figure out as you watch these videos. But that was really kind of the demise. That, and you know, it wasn't just my family. I don't want to just paint this picture like it was only us. It only happened to us because corporate America and corporate pharma made it possible through lobbying intervention to get the rules written in pharmaceutical companies' favors, to the way that the laws are written to where the doctors have no liability and accountability for the prescriptions that they were writing, to the sales reps that worked for the drug companies that were lying about the addictive characteristics of said drugs. You want to follow me? Click that follow button, click that like button, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave me a comment.